Hey everybody, welcome to episode 62 of the All JuveCast, and we're coming off our match against Lokomotiv in the Champions League, and I have a great guest. I'm always happy when he's on the show. Rocco, how are you doing, my man?
Hey, what's happening, buddy?
Oh,
Happy
you know,
to be back.
it's good to have you back. Classic little Juve grind today.
Oh man,
Um,
yeah. Was it ever? That's the word.
it just I don't know. It just never feels like what went into. It seems like when we go into matches with the most confidence, those are the ones we just struggle the most with. I don't know, but we'll break this one down throughout the match. We'll talk about the post match. We'll get into just a few other topics, but let's start with the lineup. I saw your prediction. It was essentially the exact same as mine. The only difference that come out to the actual starting lineup was Rodrigo Bentancur making an appearance in the 10 role. And
Yep.
how big a surprise was that? Did you see it
Uh,
coming? I had no idea.
I was when I saw. By the way, where did we share our starting lineups on?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead with
But
that.
all right. Shameless plug. As some of you may know, and a lot of your listeners are and viewers are Canadian, we just started a brand spanking new JOFC. That stands for Juventus Official Fan Club, and that is in Toronto. It is based in Toronto, but we have opened up our horizons far and wide. Mare usque mare, as the Canadian the motto of Canada goes, from sea to shining sea. We are looking for anybody who is a Juventus fan and residing in Canada to join us. Alberto, our beloved friend, has taken on the challenge and has signed up to be one of our brand spanking new founding members. We're doing a bit of a special, I think, for the first until the end of the month, which is October. The fee is only $30, which, believe it or not, is actually not even cost recovery. So it's lower than the cost because there are costs that a Juventus club has to. There's tribute that a Juventus club has to provide back to Turin per member that signs up, and other fixed costs that I'm not going to bore you guys with. So, but that we're giving you the beneath basement, bottom basement price. If anybody wants, please do look us up. We can show our value of the club on Facebook. It's called Bianconeri YYZ. If you search that up on Facebook, you can join our page. If you're from Canada, we will accept you. And you can also follow us on Twitter. Same, it's actually at Juventus YYZ or YYZ. If you were trained with the English south of the border. And that's on Twitter, and you can find us there. I think we're getting the rest of our social media machinery ready, but for now, those are the two pages that we got going. So thank you again for the plug. Now back to your question, if I may, on
Absolutely.
Bentancur.
Yes.
Bentancur was an absolute surprise, and I think that Sarri has a little bit of a man crush, tactically speaking, on the guy.
Oh, yeah.
I think that Bentancur, I remember in the Bologna game, the game against Bologna, he mentioned in the pregame presser, "Hey, no, I haven't seen Bentancur yet. I haven't seen him." It's almost like he was expecting him, and he was keying on him, and he was hoping to play him, and then try to integrate him in the midfield rotation, because he sees him as a kind of a multiple solution to the Juventus midfield, both as a Mezzala as well as a Pjanic replacement. And today he was placed as a trequartista, so which was even more atypical. However, he did play. I will note that he did play that way for Uruguay, I think, in the last World Cup. So seeing Bentancur moved up so is not completely foreign.
I didn't see him play up there for Uruguay. I always saw him in the two-man central
The
midfield
two
role.
and the two-man mid. Okay,
Yeah, but I mean, it's
I can go
possible, and I
back
might have missed it. I mean, I didn't watch all of Uruguay.
and.
But yeah, maybe. I was totally shocked.
hmm
I thought, wow, okay, maybe not the match for that type of experiment, just because Champions League is a different beast and strange things can happen. But
hmm
I mean, overall, when you look at the lineup, and no disrespect to the opponents, but still we should be able to come out on top.
And
So.
Bernardeschi, I thought, what happened to Bernardeschi? I thought to myself, is he injured? Because of course, Ramsey is
Because we knew
not going
Ramsey
to
and
get
Costa were not going to be in the
Costa,
lineup.
right? Same thing,
Yeah,
right? So that's why I automatically thought, and we both thought, right? Okay, well then there's no other choice, so it'll be Berna again, who
yeah,
had been given. Oh, I can't. Geez, how many games has he been keyed on now? There's a game against Inter. I think it was 4 or 5 in a row, and maybe,
yeah,
well, if not 6 or 7, if you include the national team, right?
yeah,
And you talk about a player who had been disappointing and kind of failed up, so to speak. Despite not providing, not doing, not being particularly brilliant, at least not with the ball or when attacking, he still was able to put together some decent performances. Doing some of the rough work there on Brozovic in against Inter.
yeah,
Coming on and scoring a goal for the Italian national team, scoring a goal in the first game as well against Greece. So all of that, right?
yeah.
And you know what? I thought, now this is he's just gonna keep playing him until either Ramsey and or Costa are ready.
Yeah,
And sure enough, he surprises us once again.
yeah. And the thing with Berna too is like, he's on. You just touch on it with this run of games that he's been on, and you just figure Sarri's gonna play him and whatnot. But like over this run of games, like the Bernardeschi lovers, they just feed off the work rate and all that and whatnot. But for me, it's just the easiest way I could put it is just it's still he's so frustrating at the errors in the critical areas of the pitch, the
Mm-hmm.
final third, and in that role, it's so important. So the work rate's great, and I get it that he gives Higuain, he gives Ronaldo that freedom because he's doing the dirty work, but it's still a big part of that role. And for me, he's fallen short on that end in the final third. And Sarri even said it. Sarri said it himself, and he goes, "You know what? His work rate's incredible, and because of the defensive duties he's taken on, maybe that's why he's not sharp in front of goal." But he basically said he needs to be more effective up there in the final third. So
Hard to disagree.
it's
Hard to
it's
disagree
frustrating.
with that. You have to expect more from a guy who has the offensive prowess, who has a terrific shot, um, who has demonstrated that in the past. So I just think he needs to raise up his confidence level and just hammer one or two home or something, and at that point he'll be unstoppable,
And
right?
this is where we get into it because I actually had this discussion with someone on Twitter, and I said, "Well, what's affecting his confidence?" I go, "He's been given a string of games, so Sarri showed the faith in him. He's even got a couple goals you touched on, and still the errors." And I go, "Is the error like these errors have been constant with him in the decision making? Like that's the one flaw that's just like always there with
Oh
him."
yeah,
Is the
oh
decision
yeah.
making. I go, if that's a confidence thing, like what more does he need for his confidence? And then somebody answer with consistency. If he gets a consistent, I go, well, that's so contradicting to me because I mean,
Yeah.
like, how is he going to get consistent without confidence?
Yeah, no.
It's
Oh
not really
no.
making sense to me, and it just he's become this like I don't know. It's just everybody's analyzing what's going on with Berna, and like the guys that love Bernardeschi, they defend him with the fact of his work rate and stuff like that. I get it, but guess who also has a great work rate that can't even make it into this project, and that's Mario Mandzukic. There needs to be more. You need to fit the style Sarri's trying to get to. You need to fill everything that you're asked of, right? Because if it's just work rate, okay, shit, Mario will be in there every single game, but it's not. There's other areas that he's fallen short on within his role, and Berna's got to pick it up, in my opinion. But yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's no, confidence is not the cure to ill decision making,
yeah,
right? I mean, it could be maybe tangentially, but it's not. It's not the key. I think he needs some guidance in terms of Savi's gameplay, and he's a gameplay coach. So, if he's kind of instructed, on what to do in, X amount of situations, and movement off the ball and movement with the ball, and, passing plays, and, like set plays,
yeah,
even in movement, not in dead ball situations, then this is something that you can start on. Like, that's a base. And then, well, plus confidence, that's where he can get a stroke of genius, and, crack the odd goal from afar, or this or that. But until that happens, like, it's baby steps. Baby steps need to take
yeah,
place. And we all remember how he had a cracking start the last season.
yeah,
And well, what was the problem then? Like, or what was that the solution to? Right? Was there a confidence issue there? No, it was that he was in top physical shape, and it showed on the field. So it's one of multiple things. It could be confidence, it could be lack of fitness, it could be lack of training, and that kind of stuff. Who knows, right? But he's kind of a mystery
yeah.
right now.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening with him, and hopefully he gets it. I was really hoping after those goals, okay, here he's gonna pick it up and whatnot. But I mean, to some,
Yeah.
he's just fine. He's doing great. Okay, for me, I'm expecting more, and he's shown us more. So we'll see what ends up happening with him. So the lineup, yeah, I mean, it's all the usual suspects. Benker was a surprise. We get into the match itself, and man, it was like a minute 50 in. Dybala rips a shot just off Gianluca there, and just going wide. 10 minutes in, Khedira had a chance to look up top for Dybala. He decides he's going to just blaze through three guys, and I was just like, man, what's this guy doing? Like, just lay it off for Dybala at top of the box. He'll have a hit. No. Khedira's going to streak and dribble past three guys. But what ends up happening is they easily take the ball from him. And, we get nothing out of it. Thanks,
Nope.
Sammy. 19 minutes in, great ball movement, inside, outside. Ball crossed in for CR7. He, whiffed it, went straight over the goal. I guess he ended up being offside anyways, but just a nice pass sequence, though. Like, I was like, okay, waiting for them to pick it up, because the first, other than those opportunities in the first 10 minutes, Dybala and Khedira, there was really not a whole lot going on. And I was like, come on, pick it up. And that was the first time when it was like, okay, here's the nice quick passing, and we get a great chance out of it. 28 minute in. So 28th minute. Just a great ball in from Pjanic, who's been incredible this season. Bonucci just flying in there, gets the header all wrong. And it's just like, it's tough, man. He made a great run flying in there, but he just got it all wrong in the header. He was pissed at himself too. You see him grabbing the net, whatnot. Really, really bad. You want to capitalize on those chances. And then, like, immediately after, I swear to God, I turn my head, I'm taking a drink of water, and I come up and, Jesus, they're right down our throats. It was a goal kick. What the hell's going on? Goal kick. Delict challenges for it, misses it. Goes over him, bounces, and I don't know what you call that from Bonucci. I don't even know what style defense that was. It was crazy. Anyways, it was terrible. Their attacker gets it over to João Mario, and Sandro and Quadrado both go over there. And Bonucci's running back in the play. So if you see Sandro and Quadrado both going there, stay on your man. He goes back in behind Szczesny. And Sandro and Quadrado were both there. If he had stayed on his man, Bonucci would have been in prime position to just clear the ball off Szczesny's rebound. He's standing in goal. He tries to get a header on an absolute cannon. And we're down 1-0 just like that. And I'm like, oh my God, this is exactly how these games change. And Loco went straight into park the bus mode immediately. They weren't doing anything up until that point. And now it was like, okay, we got to pick up the pace. We're playing really slow, like, half hour in, and now we're behind. Your thoughts around this situation, this goal and everything, and what your feeling was around this team in this 30-minute mark?
Yeah, a few things I would add. I recall there were a few weak shots by, I think both of them were Ronaldo.
Ronaldo had a couple outside the area there.
Yeah, weak shots, or couldn't get enough mustard on him.
He had a lot of missed passes throughout this thing too.
Yeah, and I mean, he's kind of. It reminds me of that short video that you often see on social media where, where the Chef Ramsay is yelling at adult chefs, and then like he's kind of, when he's talking to the kid chefs, he's like really sweet and all that. And that's kind of like the way we talk to most Juve players. And then when Ronaldo messes up, we kind of like, oh, that's okay, honey,
Yeah.
that kind of situation. But we need to be just as hard, if not, there's maybe an argument to be even harder on him.
He's got high expectations, and he makes a ridiculous amount of money. I don't care if he makes more on Instagram than he does with Juve. He still makes a ton of money with us, and it's got to be better. 3
times as much as the next player.
What's that?
He makes about 3 times as much as the next player on Juve's payroll?
It's like just shy of 3 times as much. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, ridiculous.
So be hard on him, it's like it needs to be. It's got to be better. It's got to be better. This was probably, like, all in all, probably his worst performance with Juve probably since coming over.
He has had quite a few misses at the beginning of this season. I think so. This is my assessment of most of the match, really, until the tying goal by Dybala, because, and we're gonna get to it. I'm not gonna steal your thunder. But we saw, even up until the 30th minute, the same movie. It was slow, grinding build up, very slow. And Sarri himself, I'm so glad he said it afterwards. He said, we were going at 10 kilometers an hour the whole time.
Yeah.
Very slow build up, therefore predictable, ineffective off of corners, ineffective off of free kicks. But what else is new, right?
Yeah.
We knew that before, but in these kinds of nights, this is when you're going, okay, this is when someone's going to finally pop in a free kick. Right, and the fact that Pjanic and Dybala are only getting the crumbs off of what Ronaldo takes now. I mean, he's been more generous in that department. He's been giving up, as of the last handful of games, he's been giving up free kicks and not taking free kicks for us.
Yeah.
But that just adds the pressure on a Pjanic or on a Dybala, because it's like, well, this is the only chance you're going to get.
Yeah.
This game, because at the next opportunity it's going to be Ronaldo's, or it's going to be if it's Dybala, it's going to be Pjanic's.
I talked about that before, and I said, you know what? It's like, it's not training out here. Like sometimes it takes a couple during the, like, you got to get that range, and like to just have it even rotational with those guys. Like, just get Ronaldo right out of there. Long distance ones, I'm fine with him taking it, but just let Pjanic on the left Dybala on the right consistently take them and watch them find their range and get back to where they were. They have incredible conversion rates, and it's just like, let them keep taking it. And I tell you what, like, DAZN was just pissing me off with the commentators they had covering this game today, because it's as if they've never watched Juve at all this season, and they just like pulled up a sheet of stats and went off the stats and based and formed their opinion of our players. And the shit that they were talking, sorry, but anyways, the shit they were talking about Dybala was just mind-blowing to me. And it's just like, oh, yeah, such a struggling season, whatever. And I'm like, he's been great the entire season. The stats don't show that, but he's done so much. And he's been, like, crucial. And it blows me away. And that was frustrating. But yeah, like, we get to the halftime, you're exactly right. These were all my thoughts. You know, we're at our best when we move the ball quickly. We didn't do that at all. We had flashes of doing it, and we got some opportunities when we did. But the rest of the time, way too slow. Never going to carve Loco up, and especially after you give up that goal, it really isn't going to happen unless you pick up the pace. And our backline just looked on dead legs, like they were hauling semi-trucks. It was brutal. Absolutely brutal. And Khedira, holy... It, like, invisible again. Absolutely nothing to offer. Like, it's mind-blowing to me. And after this one, I don't even know what it is anymore. I don't even know if it's 4 or 5 in a row we're at now, or 6 in a row now, where it's been completely invisible. And it's got to change. So in the first half also, you know, Bentancur, very, very awkward in that role. I wasn't feeling it. Dybala, Bentancur, Ronaldo, like there was nothing there, and it was just not working at all. So at the half, I wanted Bentancur actually just to slot back for Khedira and get Khedira off, and I was actually calling, let's get Berna in there, at least get the energy right, and go from there. What were you looking for at the half for a change? Were you looking for a change? What you want, I guess?
I think more than anything, I was hoping for a change in approach, in attitude. Just that ball had to be moved a little quicker.
100%.
I think that I mean, Juventus has been inspiring the spectators for over 100 years of its history, and I think like something made me think that there's something about the lack of the cheers and cheering and the curva being on strike, and that I believe is affecting this team's energy. They just weren't feeding off of. There was nothing to feed off of, and you can hear all game long the Moscow crowd that was there in that little sliver of the stadium that's dedicated to them.
Yeah,
just wreak havoc and owning it. It felt like the Russians were playing at home.
Yeah, it's great that you touch on that too, because I remember sitting there and thinking like, man, it's like they may as well be behind closed doors if it weren't those local fans. Like there's just nothing for atmosphere. Like I was like, why is it so quiet? It's crazy. But yeah, that's a very, very good point.
I'm willing to bet, man. I'm willing to bet if we had a half alive Curva Sud with that was just cheering them on and whatever, they would have picked up the pace. They would have fed off of that energy, and they just looked anemic for most of this match. And it wasn't. We're going to get to it, but I think you saw a bit of a change of energy after the first goal. But I'll let you. Yeah. I'll let you.
There's a few like after the break, for sure the energy was a little bit better right off the hop, and you could see it really quick. A few minutes in, just the urgency. You could feel the urgency. 47th minute, Dybala slips in behind beautifully. Pjanic puts a great ball in there, and Dybala doesn't get it right on the volley. Tough one, spinning volley, but man, hell of a chance. And I was like, okay, here we go. Immediately after that, Higuain in for Khedira. Thank God.
Mm.
Thank God. Okay, I was just like, just go away. And Higuain, that made me think, okay, Dybala's gonna slot into the trequartista role. Okay, and I was like,
Mhm.
this will be interesting to see the three of them, Cristiano, Higuain, Dybala. Let's see what happens here. Higuain did a great job. He was making great runs. You could see space starting to develop at the top of the area for Dybala because of this. 60th minute, Quadrado, and like beating his guy. He started getting into this mode this second half way better than his first. He did it a couple times in the first, but in the second, he was picking on that guy every chance he had. I can't remember the player's name. I apologize, but just picking on him and beating him consistently and putting balls in there. He at the 60th, it was a great one, low and hard, ran the whole goal mouth, and nobody
Yeah.
was making that run. And I was just shocked. I was like, "There's a tap in, nobody's on it." 64th minute, Rabiot on for Matuidi, and great call, sorry. You don't need Matuidi in a game where the team's parking the bus. Um,
Yeah.
that's a no-brainer. And Rabiot just obviously offers way more technically. So, yeah, make that move. I liked it. But the energy was there, the urgency. 69th minute, Quadrado again beats his guy. Just couldn't find anybody with the ball. 72nd minute, Higuain with a great play. Flipping it by his defender and letting a shot go just wide. But you're
Mm.
just like, come on, is it going to come? At this point, I got to say, I'm like, man, is this going to be one of these matches? We just can't find one because
Yeah.
we can't
Yeah. No.
buck this trend of only playing 45 minutes with the intensity that we need for the entire match. And I started to get that feel, and I was like, oh, come on. And a few minutes later, Dybala, what a hit, a beauty. Quadrado comes in, they kind of commit, anticipating he's going to beat that guy. So you start to see a shift in the defense.
Mhm.
Dybala finds the perfect space, and the defenders had dropped off, anticipating Quadrado beating that guy again. He had enough space, lets it go, beautiful shot, keeper flat-footed. Just, I'm losing my mind. I'm jumping up on the couch. Dybala, you're my boy. Just screaming. That's my boy. Because I've been so against all the talk through the summer about him leaving this club and us trying to sell him.
Yeah.
I felt it for him with this goal. You know, 79th minute, late 78th, Sandro with a blast from deep, and I'm like, at first I'm like, man, was he gonna shoot from here? Rebound, Ronaldo in an offside position, and I'm like, stay away. In comes
Mhm.
Dybala, and that's a hell of a finish. Outside of the boot, on the volley, off the rebound, slots her home, and then I really lose it and feel it for this kid. Um, Incredible turnaround in those couple of minutes, but you felt it as soon as he hit that first one in the 76th. You just felt like it was instant. Like, now's the time to jump on them, and they were just like sharks with the blood, man, in the water, and they were all over it. Um, that was great. That was great to see, man. Those couple goals and the flip of the switch and just what's running through your mind at that moment, man. I'm losing it when that happens.
Yeah. No. They. Well, it's just they basically said flip the switch. They turned it on. They start the from the second half on. Yeah, the approach, the attitude had changed. They started creating some more chances. And but as soon as that first goal went in, and what a goal, you described it beautifully, like just perfect, typical curler
Yeah.
in the on the second post, what stuff that we've seen from Dybala before,
Yeah.
and he often will play a little bit off to the right, which creates an overloading, which is why I think Cuadrado got so many opportunities on the right, and Alexandro got basically none, right, and no penetration coming in off the left. So it kind of created this asymmetry to the team, and Dybala does that on purpose, especially if he does play a little further back, say Trequartista, even though he hasn't really played that role that much this year, in order to cut across and exactly do what he did in that first goal. And with the second, yeah, I mean, fully deserved, and he's cashing in on a lot of criticism and a lot of hard work that he's put in, totally taking advantage of the momentum shift as well. The crowd all of a sudden woke up,
Yeah.
right, and it kind of gave that energy, and I mean, 77th minute, 79th minute, you've played well over an hour. You should be more tired and less energized. And now all of a sudden they're playing as if they're fresh, and Lokomotiv is completely, their plan to sever off all of Juventus's attacks is completely derailed. If you'll allow the pun, Lokomotiv derailed, plans derailed. Yeah, so it was a 1-2 punch, and I think there was some more to come, right? More opportunities for Juve, and I'll let you get into that.
Yeah, there was more opportunities to get goals. Dybala ended up getting substituted. Bernardeschi coming in, and just a hell of a shift for Dybala, and a nice little curtain call for him to the standing O there. And I mean, 87th, there's a good hit from Bernardeschi from play. But yeah, I mean, 89th minute was really the only little falter. Bentancur almost got caught trying to play around in front of our box, and I was just like, man, what is going on? But other than that, I thought Bentancur in the second half much better, sliding into where Khedira was, and offered a hell of a lot more than what Sammy did while he was there. So it's just much better there. But yeah, I mean, the subs too. Sarri was spot on in the subs. It inspired the turnaround in approach and mentality, and the second half was bang on. It was just a tale of two halves for Juve, and ugly first half, sluggish from everyone. Bentancur out of place, obviously, in that role. Second half, much better pace, but it didn't take full effect really until that Higuaín sub, and then it really fully culminated with getting Rabiot in there. It was great, and Rabiot's been a subject of a lot of talks and his performances and whatnot, but I'm honestly not too worried about him. I think it's going to be fine. I even see him, when you want to play Matuidi there, would be a much better alternative on the right side than Sami Khedira. I'm not worried with Rabiot. I think the more minutes he gets, he's going to be absolutely fine. And just honestly, just Dybala, two absolute beauties. How about Gigi Buffon's reaction? Did you see, that man? That was my tweet. That was it. The picture of that reaction, and just all I put was this man. I love Gigi Buffon, and anybody who's against him coming back is crazy to me. I love to see that, man.
Oh, yeah, no. There was that is a very, very inexpensive purchase back. I mean, not especially considering what he's making. Even if he was making double or triple, he would still be worth every penny because of what he transmits to the team, in the locker room. He rounds things out well. He's a statesman of the game, let alone of Juventus. So absolutely, him screaming "Andiamo,"
and the embrace with Dybala on his current call. It's great to see, man. A fan, another Juventino was asked on Twitter, and he just goes, man, could you imagine, I need Gigi picking up that Champions League trophy. And I'm just like, man, the tear ducts aren't ready for it, I think, man, for me, man. It's just like, I like, I couldn't, I need it for that guy, man. I love it, man. Anyways, it was a beautiful thing to see. I absolutely loved it. But yeah, that was pretty much it. We need to
Can I just
go ahead. Yeah.
And I was just going to say that one thing, two things. One, the first small thing I want to point out, Bernardeschi just needs to hit the ball with the top of his foot once in a while. None of this like, inside of the foot turning type stuff that always ends up very central. Right in the at the goalie eventually.
Yeah.
Just smack it for once, and he's got it in him, and he's done the same in other games. He's done the same with the national team. Once in a while, just give it a lash, And then the other thing I was going to say that we witnessed in the home match against Verona, in the home match against Bologna, in the away match against Brescia, is the suffering. Like, we did not in this game suffer at the end. And the 90th came and went, and we didn't have, other than that tiny blip with Bentancur being a little too fancy and arrogant and overconfident with that ball. We did not end up with Lokomotiv pouring on the pressure as Bologna and Verona and Brescia, let's say, did. Same result, same ugly 2-1 comeback, type situation. But in this case, it was actually chilled at the end. We just ran the clock down. We looked like scoring the third one the whole time. And I think at the end of the day, that's something to be noted. We did deserve to win, even though it wasn't a great, an exciting and really well played game. But there's no doubt that the only thing that Lokomotiv did was defend the entire match and got away with a few lucky breaks. A lot of our shots on goal were weak. We need to be a lot better at finalizing, again, at hitting harder, more angled shots. That's because our buildup was poor, was slow.
Yeah.
So that needed to be quicker. But Lokomotiv, the only thing they did was defend, and they scored that goal on a counter. We blacked out there for a minute.
Well,
and other than that, Juve deserved it. They took home the 3 points, and deservedly, and that's all that matters. I think
that's really it with this club, and it's just these ongoing trends that we need to shore up, I guess, because again, this one, it's a tale of two halves. And we need to buck this trend it's something that's carried over from the previous season, where it's 45 minutes at the intensity you need. And it can't be like that. And these lapses where we allow these soft goals, right? These goals that shouldn't be happening. We still, if we shore that up, we're pretty damn scary because we're still controlling matches. We're down 1-0 in this game because of that mess we made of that situation. Otherwise, we're at 70-something% possession at that time. I think that was Loco's, honestly, their first attempt. Second because the rebound. But honestly, we're controlling every match we're in this season, other than Fiorentina. But even in that match, I wasn't, threatened by Fiorentina. It was just we couldn't do nothing. We played possibly slower than we did the first half against Lokomotiv here today. But that's the thing. We're at our best when we play at that quick pace. Sarri knows it. You touched on what he's been saying. When we kick it up and we pick up that pace, it's good. And that's how you're going to break down these defenses. And in the first half, if we're playing at that pace, even granted, if we don't score a goal or whatnot, you're making that defense work a hell of a lot harder than at that snail's pace that we did in the first half. Because that was making me worried. I was like, here we are, we barely worked them. They're still at full energy. And credit where credit's due. They're an organized bunch, Lokomotiv. Like, they were organized. I told you it was around that later on, probably around 72nd minute or something, where I was like, man, are we going to find one? Like, are we actually going to lose this game? And this is one of the nice things about this club now currently, is how many times previously, would this club possibly drop this game or tie it? Just get the draw. But the mentality, the approach, and the drive to just push and find those goals, and then not only find them, but push for a third. Like, like you said, like, that's awesome. That's what we need. And that's the mentality that's been missing for a lot of us fans in Europe, in Champions League. So it was awesome to see. It was great to see. But that's what we need more of. We just can't. We just got to buck the trend of these one half performances.
Yeah. Yeah. We can't give up a half. You just can't give up a half.
No.
And this team has even under Allegri was doing similar type situations where, and even under Conte, like we almost needed to get a slap in the face before we woke up.
Yes. Yeah.
And it may have to do with our provincial heart, because Juventus is a noble team, but with a provincial heart. So it may be to that point that sometimes we there's something in our performance that's missing that makes us play down to the level of the opposition.
Yeah.
And we get in trouble. We should be crushing teams like Lokomotiv, all due respect.
Yeah.
We should be crushing teams like Verona and Bologna at home, even though Bologna is really well organized. And there's also the X factor, right? The odd type situation where you have, Danilo scored a cracker against us. I can't remember who the guy from LS Verona was, but he scored an absolute beauty. Like, these are goals of the week you get scored against you, and it get this freak accident of a goal happening today. The licks on elbow against Inter, things that you're just looking at and you're going, okay, well, some things need to be tightened up. But on the other hand, we get these guys scoring these, like, the goal of the Sunday type situation. So I'm not extremely worried, and I'm actually confident. What makes me confident is the fact that, as you alluded to, we have a great attacking team that, if and when the chips are down, just finds a way to produce enough offense and just to overcome these obstacles. Yeah. And that's, they just made it happen. It's funny. I know may sound weird to some people, but when we scored the 2-1, they said, watch, we're going to win this game. Like Real Madrid used to win those games where it looked like they had no business winning. They just, it's just not going to happen. And then all of a sudden, bang, 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 they'll bang like 2-3 goals in a Liga game with that they've been down for the better part of it, 80, 90 minutes or something. And then like they find a goal and 2 goals in extra time or something. Like, it kind of gave me, for some reason, I have no idea why I thought that, but it gave me a kind of like a La Liga feel where when like Real Madrid or Barcelona will like pop 2 in right at the end and still take 3 points home. That wasn't like us, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It just wasn't like with Allegri. We might, like you said, we might grind out the win, we might grind out the draw.
Yeah.
But just couldn't produce enough offense to make it to score 2 goals, maybe just 1, and then all of a sudden we're all taking our calculators out and going, okay, so if we lose against this and then that,
exactly, well, yeah, and that's the thing, right? Is this would have been, God, this could have been really, really bad, dropping this one, even the 2. So now we're tied atop with Atletico, and the next one is actually on the road to Lokomotiv, which
Yep.
is going to be, well, it's tough to say
Russia
because
in November, man.
because
Russia in November.
yeah, and they will be at home, so maybe it'll be a little more space for us because it'll open up a bit. But Russia in November, see what happens.
Yeah, it
I'm
didn't
just gonna
work
take
out
the 3 points
for
from today and run. Okay.
yeah.
Let's take the three
Yeah,
and run for today. So post match, Dybala coming out and saying he's happy with these goals. I needed them, and I'm happy. Now that we have won, we can say that I can play with Ronaldo and Higuain. Rocco, your take on these words from Palito here?
Well, I want to hear exactly what the dynamic of the question was, because sometimes a journalist will say, now that you've scored, does it mean that you can play with both Higuain and Ronaldo? And he'll say like, yeah, I can play with both of those guys. You know what I mean? But when the way that reads makes it seem like he's really, kind of getting back at
the way
the
it
doubters.
reads is that it's shots fired at everybody saying he can't play with Ronaldo, he can't play with the two of them as well, which has been circulating. No different than even every time he goes to play nationally, him and Messi cannot play, and it's something he gets all the time. But still though, it's kind of like unlike Palou because he's never really done anything like that or said anything kind of against it. He's kind of always kept it cool. Maybe the adrenaline from these two still fueling him. I don't know.
Still flowing. Yeah, I think that these damn journalists, they'll bake it one way and then they'll flip it the other. They're like making a frittata here. Like,
The thing is too is that there was fans that were saying, and I read it, I touched on it a couple podcasts ago, that they were just like, I can't believe Allegri had me believing that Dybala couldn't play with Ronaldo, and it's just like, I was like, well, speak for yourself, because they actually put that, like, I can't believe Allegri had us believe, and I'm like, well, speak for yourself, because where was the evidence? How many times did we see them together, and what style of football were we playing last year?
Ronaldo and Dybala played together 26 times, and they've won 24 of those 26 times that they played together.
Yeah.
So that was the stat from last year. So I'm not sure there's much veracity to people saying, "Well, I can't believe that he had me thinking." Well, I don't remember believing that.
No.
But I mean, that said, it opens up a bit of a new situation. I mean, we discovered that all of a sudden we have a new formation in our arsenal with a trequartista. And that we were not just 4-3-3 monkeys.
Yep.
Right. And now all of a sudden, you open up the possibility of Dybala trequartista.
Yeah.
And where's the space for Ramsey? Where's the space for Costa? And where is, in that scenario, where is the space for Bernardeschi? I mean, he may as well buy himself a pair of season's tickets. If that's the case.
But the thing is, the more options like that, I'm fine with that. So it still get Costa in the lineup. We can go 4-3-3 for that. I still want to see Dybala, Costa, and Ronaldo as a front just to see. I need to see it because haven't. But I just
you think Costa as a forward?
No, I want as a 4-3-3 with Dybala.
I don't see. Well, there's Dybala up top.
A Dybala up top.
Yeah.
Costa on the wing, so it's a 4-3-3. I don't want Costa up as a forward with Ronaldo. No, I want him on a wing, right? Yeah. I want to see that, right? But I'm okay with all these scenarios, all these possibilities, and if we have groups of attack and and it works and we keep kind of experimenting and we have our set groups. Okay, so it's going to be Dybala, Ronaldo up top, Ramsey, and the whole whatever, and those groups build their chemistry together. Like, that's just awesome. And honestly, to have like more situations that you could throw at opponents and they don't really know what's going to go. And then like today, you get a match like today where, okay, now let's get Higuain up there, slot Dybala into Trequartista, and all of a sudden it's like, holy, the team's like, okay, now what are we going to do? And Higuain's making these runs, like taking guys all over the place, freeing up. It's just, that's awesome, man. That's money.
Yep.
And the thing is, when we and I discussed this too before, and almost all last season in Allegri, and it's just like, we're rating our players and we're being critical of them in positions and stuff like that. But the actual style that you play has to suit what you have. And we never did that prior. But now we are. So it's like we're complimenting our players. And it's like, I kept saying that. And I'm like, you could put Dybala anywhere on the friggin' pitch. But if your game is going to get it out to the flank and cross it in, what good is this kid to you? And this style of play, it's just not going to happen, right? That's why the Mandzukic was key last season. Ronaldo, they can get to those balls, they can play in that kind of style. Dybala, he's not going to offer you anything in that kind of game. You're getting it out you're playing super slow. You're getting it out to the wing, and you're just crossing it in. Numerous, and then we have discussions breaking out after this match about how Dybala and Ronaldo were just not jiving, and they looked terrible together. And I was just like, well, in the first half, I think it was more the fact of Bentancur being in the hole. That just seemed to throw everything off, man. Bentancur, Trequartista, not for me. Wasn't happening. And I think it threw everything out. This shift happened incredibly when Higuain joined. It just changed everything. Changed how much, like, it just looked a lot easier to carve Loco up now and get into better areas, which wasn't happening before. Bentancur was, you could tell he was almost lost out there. So I'm not going to hold it against Dybala and Ronaldo, say they can't, like, it was garbage today, because it really wasn't. The first half was kind of just, we talked about it, just slow, and it was just poorly played from Juve's part, and Bentancur does not suit that role. At least he didn't today. And I don't think he's going to really probably get another chance, because we got Berna. Dybala showed he can even do it. And, you touched on, we got Costa coming back. We got Ramsey. Ramsey, Dybala, and Ronaldo still so far this season. That was probably the funnest, like the most fun I've had watching link up at the top was those guys.
And one thing that just popped in my head as you're talking about, the combinations that we have and these the arsenal of weapons that we have at our disposal is, man, like almost none of these players, or even maybe Ramsey and Rabiot, none of these players are brand new. Like he is doing this with last year's team.
Yeah,
with last year's personnel. So there's another feather in Sarri's hat.
Yep, absolutely, and we'll get to some of Sarri's words, that he was talking about, and one of them was he was talking about how fortunate we are to have both Paulo Dybala and Gonzalo Higuain. For fun, I put a poll question out there just to see, in a crunch situation, crunch match, you got to play one of them. Are you going, based on what we've seen so far this season, Dybala or Higuain? And 80%, I'll give you answer after I hear your answer.
Okay. Well, honestly, it's so much about the situation. It's so much about who you're playing at the time, and I hate to give the "it depends" answer, but it really does. I would almost say I would put in whoever's not on, right? Like sometimes you're just gonna mix it up.
So you would just take the hot hand.
I would just take the hot hand, right? And the thing is with these guys though, today we saw that they can all play together, right? And all other things being equal, where you want to have somebody where you have to take one of them off,
So let me
we
go this way then, Rocco.
both have proven to go to be like good quote energy guys off the bench, or super subs, if you will.
Let's go like
Go
this
ahead.
then. So
Mhm.
prior to today's match and Dybala's 2 goals, you're in a crunch situation based on what they've shown you so far leading into this game. You could play one of them. Who is it? I'm making you answer this, Rocco. Come on, man.
Mhm. Well,
So you're gonna go
I
hot
know.
hand
But
prior to this
I
match.
you know what, all other things. I'm just gonna say, I'm just gonna blurt it out. I'm gonna say Higuain.
There
I'm
you
gonna
go.
say Higuain.
You are one of
Yeah,
you were in the 20%. 80%
yeah.
were Dybala.
And that's fine, because everyone has Dybala's 2 goal, the brace that basically threw us over this hurdle
This was
in their
before.
eyes.
I asked this poll question
Oh, was it before?
I asked this.
Oh, okay,
I asked this
okay.
2 days ago. That's why I said
Mm-hmm.
take this goal, take these goals away. You're in a crunch situation. This was prior
Yeah,
to this game
yeah, 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 yeah.
because because we
I
thought
would
the
have said
flip
Higuain. Yeah.
because we thought the flip on the starting lineups to this match would have been: is it going to be Dybala or is it going to be Higuain? We didn't expect Berna not to play. We thought Berna would be a lock with Ramsey not in there.
Yeah.
So I was just like, hey, crunch situation, crunch game. Not that this was or whatever, but it's still very important to win and stay atop the group and whatnot, keep
Totally.
pace. But yeah, just for fun, crunch situation. Who do you play out of those two? And it was 80% Dybala, and yeah, it was 2 days ago. So, um,
Hmm.
but yeah, no, that's interesting. So
Well,
you would
he's
have went
got
with
age on his
Higuain.
side, that's for sure. Right?
Yeah,
He's got age on his side, that's for sure. Right? So he's
yeah,
someone who's going to be, if someone's going to leave out of those two, one
yeah,
would hazard that it's going to be going first, right?
yeah,
So you're also investing in the intermediate period, right?
yeah,
With Dybala coming in, staying on, and developing further, and consolidating a spot on the team.
yeah. So Sari was talking about Rabio and the
Hmm.
improvements and just saying he's working very very hard in training and he's just happy for him and it's showing. Um, that's good to read because Rabio's got this reputation of a poor mentality and attitude and whatnot, and obviously we all know about the rumors that were circulating about him, and this was really good to hear. Um, Rabio so far in his appearances, I mean, I touched on the last podcast with Saeed, and there's just fans just saying Rabio flat out is ass, and I'm just not buying that. I'm happy with what he's doing. I think he offers a lot. I think he's only going to get better with more minutes. And like I said, and like we touched on earlier, for me, it's been at least 5 appearances, maybe six. Like Kadira's got to be bumped down a few pegs on the depth chart, 100%. And I would be more than happy to see Rabio slide over into that side, keeping Ramsey in the hole when Ramsey makes his appearances. As Trequartista there. But yeah, your thoughts
Yeah.
on Rabio?
Um, I still have in my eyes the great performances that he had in the summer. He really
Yes.
impressed me, even though, of course, they're friendlies. You have to consider your opposition. You have to consider, so many things. That said, he was, um, he was absolutely. I think he has all the makings of an excellent Mezzala, which is where Matuidi and Khedira play. Um, he needs, in order to play on that side where Matuidi is, he needs to recoup a lot more, win a lot more balls in the midfield, which I think was the biggest contrast between this Juve and the one against Bologna. We did not win. That's one thing I wanted to mention. We did not win nearly as many balls as we won against Bologna. Did not press high, and maybe that may be just Sarri tailoring our gameplay to our adversary, right? Maybe he
Yeah.
saw something in video, right? Because you can't. This is not PlayStation, guys. Like, we're not just, we have our thing, we have our way of playing, and we can beat any team anyway. There's teams teams will set up against you in a different way. They will try to use their best qualities against you, and one team's qualities are different from another. But anyway, back to Rabiot. He was. Uh, I have so much promise. I have so much. I see such a good future for him with us. It's been early days, early struggles, brand new league, different language he doesn't understand. Um, doesn't like he doesn't he's not even played with Matuidi, so you can't really, chat in French with him. He's, along with Pjanic, who knows French, good, right? There could be some kind of synergy, let's say, that could be created there. But he basically didn't hasn't played the entire of 2019, and he is starting to do so now. Has shown he's put up some 4.5 out of 10 performances. Today I will give him a 6.25, let's say. If you're using your Gazzetta dello Sport type kind of marking system ratings. I saw some good things. I saw him make not only offensive on the offensive when I saw him deep through two players, but also won some balls on that side over there and made some pretty astute plays. Yeah. So he was decent. Okay, like I think as a Rabiot cheerleader, but at the same time I'm also very still remain critical. I saw some improvement. I will give him an extra 0.25 as an encouragement, but he is nowhere near what he's capable of, no. And needs to grow in terms of understanding of Sarri's gameplay, decision making a little bit, has to be a little meaner, but not reckless in winning the ball. So he can't be committing so many fouls. So there's some calibration that needs to be going on there. But I think we're going to start to see 6.5 with the full 7.5 type performances probably towards the end of the year, if not after the Christmas break.
Yeah. No, I agree. I've got high hopes for Rabiot, and honestly, he hasn't really upset me a whole bunch so far. I don't really. There's fans all over him, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, he's not total trash like some people were saying.
No.
And that's too early to talk about flops.
It is a little strange when you think back to the summer. I know you touched on their friendlies, but it was, oh man, the class was oozing. In the summer. Yeah. And
I was so excited for him. And then
I thought maybe just maybe because he thought he was going to be crack that starting 11 and then it didn't happen. Maybe it's just kind of affected him a bit, but I'm not worried about him. I think it's going to be okay as time goes on. I think he'll be just fine. And especially if Sammy keeps, pulling the disappearing act and we're playing a man down, Rabiot, I could see moving over to that side. But yeah, that's really it, man. Cristiano talked a bit leading up to this match about how, he's just he's happy that, they're playing more attacking football. They're getting better and better, and he's just happy they're playing with the ball a lot more, which touches on what you were getting at about the suffering, right? And we just don't seem to go through these spells anymore, which is fantastic. But in Cristiano's words, I think Juventus should think big. They're a big club and need to think in a big way. We want to win league and Champions League, and it's nice to start hearing these things. Obviously, Cristiano's a freak. He talks like that, but I don't know if you recall last season with just fans hating the mentality, the approach, and the way Allegri answered a lot of questions, especially when it came to Europe, and you get these answers. But this is the kind of thing you want to hear, and you want to see your club starting to take ownership of the expectations, right? So it's good. Him continuing on, that he likes the way Sarri wants the team to play. We create more chances. You can see that by the way they move the ball, and he just says, "I'm happy that we play more forward and with more confidence." Honestly, I think you could see happiness in most of the players when you start looking back to performances last season. I mean, you could almost feel it from the guys this season, right? And the celebrations, like just I don't know, it's just got a better feel to it as a whole, right? But, what's your thoughts on this club now as opposed to the previous season, and Sarri's whole transition and the club right now in this transition?
It actually looks like they're enjoying themselves doing it. Like, when if you have a job or you're working, a career, and you just there are those days where you can have a good day or a bad day, but at the end of the day, you're like, you know what? I actually enjoy doing this work and this type of work, as opposed to those where you can get through it, you hate doing it. It could be easy, but they didn't. You can tell they did not. They're enjoying this a lot more.
Yeah.
It also has to do with the fact it's not only the type of game that they're playing. It may also just be by very virtue of learning something new. There is that kind of overall like dopamine effect, and happiness and job satisfaction goes up. So that might just be it. The fact that it is a more effervescent type of gameplay just helps that along. I think that's not in the first now maybe full month. Let's call it maybe a month and a half of ever since he's been back from his pneumonia illness. His gameplay is beginning to show. We talked at length about how our buildup was super slow and laborious today. So maybe today we need to put that aside and put a little asterisk next to it as an exception. But we've seen that. We've seen the good gameplay in games previous, and probably at its height, it was expressed against the more technical sides and maybe more open sides like Inter and Napoli. So we're seeing a little bit of it. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. There is some group dynamics that are still at work. Mandzukic doesn't have a huge shadow over the team, but it's still a shadow. I think one that affects some of his teammates from last year. Mandzukic is now still training, but he's training outside of Juventus's hours.
Yeah.
So like the rest of the team is training at 1:00, and then when they're done, Mandzukic comes in and he does his own individual training to keep fit. That's very sad.
Yeah.
The Rugani situation may have to be dealt with. But as long as he's happy with being, third fiddle or fourth fiddle, who cares? Demiral is happy in his current role, considering that he doesn't have a long-standing history as being a bencher for us. So he's all right, and he's going to be waiting for his turn whenever that pops up. And we have Chan, who we definitely have to deal with probably come January. He spoke out against. He spoke on an international break in September after the Champions League squad was announced. He spoke using very harsh words about his rancor against Sarri in not being picked on that squad, and threatened to see what the to-do would be with his agent. Of course, right away he tried to recall that statement and retract that statement by softening things with some kind of announcement on social media, saying, no, I'm going to put my head down and do my best, and move forward, only to have the same thing happen again at the last international break. So I think that he's had the opportunity to make good. He did, and now he undid the whole thing. I think that his time at Juventus is going to be limited if as things are. He may get minutes here and there, like he did the game previous. I think it was against Inter. But we're not going to see that. I don't believe anyway at this point. I would not bet on Chun staying, making it back into a Champions League squad, and he might even be gone as January.
Yeah. Yeah, it's upsetting a lot of fans, I guess, with the whole Chan situation. But honestly, it's like we've only known him for like a season. There's not a huge gap, to be honest, between him and a lot of the midfielders. If we lose him, I mean, okay. Like I'm not just like we got to keep Emre Can. Like I don't get the craze about it, but it is what it is. The Mandzukic thing, it is sad. I've touched on it. It sucks, but I get it. When you look at the team and the style and the way we want to move forward, he doesn't fit. And it really, really sucks. And it's heartbreaking, because fans got a lot of affection for him, and rightfully so. But it's just, I get it. I get that move. And it sucks, but it is what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, here we are undefeated, playing the kind of football a lot of us fans were calling for us and wanting us to play. With an approach and mentality that a lot of us fans wanted to see. There's got to be sacrifices there. So, at the end of the day, if we would have thought about this prior and say during this transition, you're going to be at this stage, late October, you're going to be undefeated in all competitions, I'd say no. I would say it's not going to happen. We even talked after the first tricky 3 fixtures of Serie A and how we come out thinking, oh, that's pretty good. Because a lot of fans were complaining right off the bat because we had a draw in there. And it was just like, you know what? I'll take that. I'll take the 7 out of the 9 points all day while working through this Sarri transition. And Sarri not even being on the bench for a couple of those. So, it is what it is. Here we are late October. We're still a work in progress, but it is moving along nicely, and we're seeing a lot of the things that we were asking for as fans. So it's just like I'm appreciative of it, and I love the fact that Sarri's done a couple things that were a huge question. And can he revive Dybala? So far, Dybala's been great. Something that we've all kind of complained about, but we know we're just not a good selling team. But maybe this is a blessing in disguise, the fact that we have this bloated roster. Because now, Higuain, and I was critical of it and saying we gotta move this guy in the contract, but it has been pretty good so far, and having that depth and having a guy like that coming in that can find a goal out of nothing, awesome. I'm super happy with where this club is right now and where we're heading. We talked about the certain issues we just got to shore up. I think it's going to come. We're still really, really early into this thing, but it's good. It's promising. I'm happy. And
I think the aspect that you brought up about the results cannot be overlooked. I mean, I think that's excellent. I mean, it was like 4 or 5 games in a row that we've won now. Yeah, we had a few hiccups there with 2 draws in a row, one in Spain and the other one in Florence. But other than that, I mean, it's been perfect. It hasn't come without bumps along the way, but at the end of the day, that we were able to take home all 3 points, and deservedly so, and playing decent soccer for the most part. So pretty soon it's gonna be a more winning by larger margins,
Yeah.
and more deservedly and with better gameplay.
It's
That's
just
my
the
expectation.
yeah, the conversion rate's gonna pick up, and
Hmm.
it's gonna. I have no doubt in that at the amount of chances that we can create. It's gonna happen. It's gonna. We're creating very very good chances. This is not just the kind of stuff that we were creating last season, where it's like cross a ball in, it bounces around a bit. Here's a shot. Like not like these are well worked chances. So the conversion rate, it's gonna come up with all the talent we have. It's gonna happen, and when that happens, like look out, because even the dropped points, we controlled all these matches.
Hmm.
It's when we suffer, it's like it's our mistakes that get punished here and there. But other than that, we have been in control, and that's just fantastic because it's just like in our DNA where we expect to just suffer for results,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And to see this in such a short period of time it's just nice, man. It's nice. It's like I said, we're down 1-0 in this one, and it's because of our own blunders, and we were at 70 something possession at that time. It was just us moving so slow and not, really challenging Lokomotiv's organization enough, right? But second half, boom, there goes the switch, and here we go, and not stopping. Get the two
Mhm.
goals, keep going. Like I love it. I'm
I
happy. I
mean,
think Juventini. I think we should all be happy and appreciate. You know, just like we're talking about these results and where we are at right now, and think about the fact that it's a transition. Sorry wasn't going to come in here and we were going to start banging in 6 goals in game one. This is never going to
no.
happen. You know.
Mhm.
Um,
Just imagine what happens when Ramsey's back and Costa's back, and both of
yeah.
those guys are fit. When Ronaldo starts banging in goals that he's been sitters that he's been missing,
Yeah.
when Dybala starts to convert free kicks, when Pjanic starts to convert free kicks. I mean, geez. I mean, I'm not saying that's all going to happen in one game, but if all of those cylinders are firing, or even four out of those five cylinders I mentioned are firing, I mean, like
Yeah.
there's nothing stopping
Well,
us from scoring 3+ goals a game,
no, and that's just it,
right?
right? Is you nailed it right on the head there, Rocco. It's like we are not firing at all cylinders, and we know this. And Sorry spoke to this, and like that's the thing. Think about like where we are results wise right now, and we're still happy at the style, like the way we're playing, the style and the approach and everything, and we still have not hit. We're still not hit our peak, and like that's the thing. Like once we do, I think this team's capable of actually delivering on all, like in all competitions. Like I have no doubts in this team that they could do it if, you know, they buck that trend of the 1/2 performances, you know. Um get that approach right from the get-go and stop wasting halves of football, you know. I have no doubts with his club, and like we said, like I said, the bloated roster could be a blessing in disguise. We've got great depth, and we
Hmm.
talked about all our options in attack, and the midfield's got more than enough. Matuidi's kind of set himself up as that defensive rock that can offers the forwards the ability to stay up there, right? Khedira, like I said, knocked down a few pegs, but Rabiot, Ramsey, even Bentancur sliding in there in that spot. That's
Oh
great.
yeah.
It's
Hmm.
good. We have options in attack. My God, Higuain, Costa, Ronaldo, Dybala, Ramsey. It's good, man. It's really good. Here's a question for you: Deschilio, Danilo
Hmm.
come back. Quadrado, what happens there? Does Quadrado have? There's fans saying Quadrado has a spot. And he stays there, even when these guys come back. I want to get your take
Yep.
on that real quick before we wrap up, Rocco.
Yep. No, absolutely. I think that Cuadrado has consolidated that. Yeah, I think the beauty about Cuadrado is that, and today he made one or two mistakes, by the way. Uh,
Well, to be honest, I
and
think he
I mean,
makes me nervous
he's human.
on.
He is human.
He makes me nervous on aerial challenges. I don't know if he thinks his hair is like thick enough to like be part of that header, but it isn't. But other than the
Man,
aerials, I've actually
yeah.
been okay, and I was always hard on Cuadrado because we always get the dancing, and the ball doesn't move,
Mhm.
doesn't go anywhere. But his first half today, uh, pretty well, not very good. Second half, very very good. I was actually
Yeah.
happy with him second half.
Yeah, and the thing is, you get the offensive prowess of a winger with
Exactly.
when and adds to the danger to our adds the danger to our gameplay.
Yeah.
So I think Cuadrado, by and large, all other things being equal, is the undiscussed starter, undisputed starter for Juventus right now.
Yeah.
Uh, and when De Sciglio does come back and is healthy, there will be a perfect opportunity to relieve Alexandro on the left,
He
who
needs
needs
it.
a win
Yeah.
rest.
He needs it, man.
And Danilo can come back and be kind of a lazy right back in the sense that you expect pretty rock solid performances from him
Yeah.
on the right in terms of in the defensive phase, but very flat in the offensive phase.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I mean, I think I can't even believe I'm saying it, but yeah, I mean, Quadrado at right back was a scary, scary thing for me.
Yeah,
And I said it
sure.
many times. I was like, God, I don't want Quadrado at right back, and my God, he's proven me wrong. He's doing
Yeah,
a very good job. Like I said, little sketchy on aerials, but I've been happy. It's the attack of a winger that makes it so crucial for us. And going back to Dybala's goal today, right? He really opened that up. He opened up that space for him because they were all anticipating him beating his man again, which he was doing numerous times that half. And yeah, the defense dropped off early, and Dybala had enough space at the top of the box to let that shot go. So that was Quadrado was a huge part of that goal. So yeah, no, that's great. I think I agree too. He's got to have that spot. Use the other guys to give breaks. Sandro absolutely has to have a rest. Like he has to. Maybe see Matuidi back there against Lecce this weekend. I don't know, but Sandro needs a break, man. Today it really, really showed, but throughout the pod, I don't want to rag on him because the amount of minutes he's racked up is insane. It's crazy.
yeah, and I mean, I think at Lecce we might still see him there, but for the midweek game against Genoa at home,
Yeah.
maybe what might be the opportunity for De Sciglio to make a comeback? Because I don't know I'm not sure
Well, I'm
what
not sure on
timing
the
is
guy's
for him
timeline, right?
coming
Yeah,
back.
for coming
Yeah,
back, but he
yeah.
he
But he
definitely
was supposed
needs.
to be back already, right? He was supposed to be back already by now,
Yeah, I
and
don't know what's going
I
on.
don't know. They're being overcautious, I think, because of the nature
Well,
of the injuries are all muscle injuries, right? So
yeah.
if you
Well,
rush
hey,
them back, just
injuries. Patrice
mhm,
Evra had a little interview. Questioned
mhm,
him about playing at Juve and Man United, and
mhm.
it was pretty cool to listen to him talk about being at Juve and how he was proud, um, just proud that he was able to put himself through that based on the training regimen and how tough it is to be there, and that they basically isolate you and they want you eating with the club and just always around the club and all the training. And he just says people that say it's easy to play in Italy, he just laughs at and basically says he doesn't even think they could handle the training. Just really really cool, and just talks about the team mentality and the drive and how they're all about winning and everything. And it was cool to hear him talk about his time at Juve and just to say that he's proud he was able to get through that. It was crazy. And I got a weird little vibe from the interviewer when he was saying like, well, do you like that? Do you like being controlled? And I was just
Mhm.
like, what the hell? Like, what are you trying to spin it that Juve like controls their players or whatnot? Like, it was kind of strange. Um, Evra responded great, and he just said, "No, it's like it's fine. I'm not controlled." He says it's just they surround you with that mentality, that attitude, and what they're looking for, right? Like you get the idea right away. And it was cool to hear. But then, you start thinking about this, and he talks about the training and how it's like, they track your running, and if in a game you hit 8 or 9K, like they make sure you finish that 3K like somewhere down the road, like they're tracking it so intensely. And you start to think though, are we possibly overworking guys? Could you overtrain players, right? Where it's too much. It's just,
Absolutely.
yeah, I started thinking about that, and I was like, that kind of sounds like a little intense, but I mean, it is what it is. These guys get paid a lot of money as professional athletes, but we know our history injury and, muscle injury and all this stuff, and it's just like, man, are we just training way too hard? Like, who knows? It brings up an interesting question anyways, listen to a guy like that talk about it, right?
It does indeed. And I don't know, I mean, I think back as you're saying this, I think back to, 2, 3 years ago when Evra was still with us, or 3, 4 years ago. And, I just start to think about, well, if this is how they do it, and, there could be some, overtraining and, tons of muscle injuries that we've had. We had an epidemic there for a while.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if some of the method, it had to do with some of the methods. But we're just looking at that one aspect and that one part of the comment where he was saying, well, yeah, they made us round out our 12K, and you say, because some games we had to run we did 9K in practice, but they wouldn't make us complete it, as you said. So, I mean, I take that with a grain of salt. And muscle injuries can be due to so many yes. factors. It could be susceptibility from like on an individual basis versus, another individual who doesn't have that kind of. I mean, look how injury prone Ramsey is, for example, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, there's so many factors, and I can't. And Chiellini's calf. Very famous calf has been for how many years? There were 2 or 3 years in a row there where he had, 19 league games he completed per season. That's half of the season he missed for muscular injuries.
Yeah.
And now he's out for a knee issue, completely different kind of injury. But one thing that I would like to highlight in that tidbit of a conversation, of an interview that Evra had, is context. Context cannot be overlooked. He was being asked this at as part of a premiership show. It was a show in England, and talking about the premiership, and he went on and was talking about his Man U experience and his Juventus experience. And he basically put aside the Man U and highlighted how proud he was of having done what he did at the end of his career with Juventus and being part of a team like that. I mean, he could have easily just said, yeah, you know what, I went to Italy and, we won and everything and it was great. But, that wasn't the pinnacle of my career. The pinnacle of my career was playing for my national team, was winning your cups with Man U and playing along the greatest and with Man U and winning the EPL with Man U. I mean, let's face it. I mean, I correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure he won the Champions League with Manchester United.
I'm pretty sure.
I mean, and he was there forever, right? Yeah. And Man U has gone through a few cups there. So, he could have been very, and Juve fans would not have begrudged that at all.
No,
we would have understood.
We all just thought it was so cool. Like everybody was highlighting it. Was really cool to hear him say that and speak to that, especially you just touched on it. It's a premiership show, right? But maybe it's also like, I'm sorry for that blunder against Bayern. But I don't know. I still can't get over that. It just blows me away, man. I don't know. Whenever that pick comes up, it drives me nuts. But no, it was cool to hear, man. I just want to get your take on that interview. I thought it was really, really cool. Nice to hear. We're gonna finish up with a couple fun questions for you, Rocco, just to wrap up.
All right.
Listeners just like these kind of fun ones, and I want to get one of your favorite goals. It can be old, it can be current, just one of your favorite Juve goals that kind of stays with you in your mind.
One of the ones that always stays in my mind, and of course I can't, I have to probably like rank them and classify them without any of that. But just one of them that, as you were asking me, comes to mind and had stayed impressed with me, was a goal. I think it was the 91-92 season, and it was Juventus was playing, I believe, in Turin against Hellas Verona, and there was a cross that came in from the right wing in a probably an improper place. Like you're not really supposed to cross that deep into the that shallow, let's say, into the opponent's half. But it was kind of just thrown up there, and Schillaci at the time connected with it in a scissor kick, and it was more or less like near the top of the box, and it ended up in the opposite corner, top corner. It was just unbelievable. Like it's just one of these goals and it reminded me like when years later, like Rooney scored for Man U this fantastic bicycle kick. He ended up hitting it with his shin. Like that, Rooney's goal was celebrated as like one of the more, as a potential Puskás award winner for most beautiful goal. Like, to me, Rooney's goal was the ugly photocopy of this goal.
Yeah.
So I recommend to all your listeners to check it out. Go on YouTube somewhere, look it up. Schillaci rovesciata, or bicycle kick, versus Hellas Verona. I think the final score of that game was 2-0. I want to say it was probably played late 1991 or early 1992. It was around that time. Maybe it wasn't 92. But anyway, if you can look it up and like put it somewhere, or link it somewhere in your show notes or in your YouTube video, then definitely worth the value. The bad part of it is it's not in HD. This is back in the analog days in the early 90s. So that's the one goal that comes to mind when you ask me that.
And last but not least, one of your favorite all-time Juve kits.
Oh man, like I gotta tell you, like I'm not one of these people, and there's nothing wrong with being this person. It's just not me. I'm not one of these people that collects kits, and despite of that, I must say I have. I'm looking at it right now. I must have like a 10, 15 of them, and I don't even try to collect them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't. One of them that I really liked. I mean, and then that's the other thing. I will usually buy like a second or third jersey. Your the classic ones is the classic one.
Yeah.
But let's see. I think it may be the one that you're wearing right now.
The 15-16 third, black and gold.
Yeah. That's like the one that got away from me.
Yeah.
I was always meaning to pick it up, and then the season came and went, and I tried to get it after, and I couldn't get my hands on it. And that's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But I really really like the gold one from the mid knots there. It was like all gold and like shiny. I actually had it, and I don't know what I did with it. I might have gotten rid of it because
2009, I think it was.
Yeah. 08, 09, something maybe.
Yeah, when
I like
that. Yeah.
But of course, if I had to choose the best one, it for me, like my classic Ariston,
Nice. Yeah, yeah.
with the Scudetto and maybe a Coppa Italia, or something like that. Those ones there, that's a classic.
That's awesome.
That's one of my
Yeah,
favorites.
those are beauties. Well, that's awesome, man. Rocco, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Um, of course, it's not going to be the last time. We know that. Everybody listening knows that. Yeah, you're a well-seasoned vet on the All JuveCast, and it's awesome every time you join me, man. So thanks for taking the time. I know it's getting late over in Eastern Canada there, so thank you very much. I always appreciate it, my friend.
All right, my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me on. Look forward to the next time.
You betcha. And everybody, I'll be back after the Lecce match with another guest. We'll break down that game and any news that comes forth from now until then on the weekend. As always, Forza Juve, fino alla fine. Ciao.